I started Llenrock Group the first day of January 2008, and turned out to be a little bit of a challenging time. I didn't know that at the time, obviously, but we went into sort of heading into the downturn. And we are doing the same thing. I was previously at another mortgage banking firm in Philadelphia. And so I was just sort of continuing the same thing, helping clients who are either acquiring or developing real estate to underwrite and structure their transactions, and then going on their behalf as agency to the capital markets and raising debt, mezzanine, and equity capital. That's still what we do today. At any given period of time, we may have more clients looking for debt, and sometimes it flips over and we have more clients who are looking for equity. Usually I would say it's 70% debt and about 30% equity. It's interesting, it changes. Because of my background in hotel, we're general commercial real estate intermediaries, so we provide capital on any type of commercial real estate, but because of my background in the hotel sector and experience there, I have a large number of contacts in that space, so we probably see more than our fair share of hotel deals. Not that we're out specifically looking for those, but we see them nonetheless. So I would say we have, right now we are working on 2 recapitalizations of properties. One that's been open, one hotel's been open for about a year, another one has not yet opened, but they want to recapitalize them now so they can free up capital from their home institution. We're also working on a development deal of a lifestyle hotel in a major market outside of Philadelphia, in the suburbs, that has a lot of retail there, but there's no sort of lifestyle hotel there. I think on the hotel side, that's probably all. I just got a call or an email the other day about somebody looking for some construction debt for a hotel as well. And then other than those sort of hotel transactions, we have a client or a potential client looking at a acquisition of an office light industrial building that is fully leased to a public company, BAA credit tenant rating, and looking for either equity to joint venture it with them or a sale leaseback opportunity, or just to flip it to another buyer. So we're working on that. We have another client who's developing about a 50-unit multifamily deal in the Philadelphia area, is looking for construction debt, and another client who has sort of a cats and dogs portfolio, I would call it, a mixed portfolio of a whole bunch of things, including 30 single-family homes, a couple of small multifamily deals, a couple of small to medium-sized older industrial properties that he has a lot of value locked up in, and he'd like to sort of recapitalize, get maybe raise his leverage level and release some of his equity so that he can do some other things. Yeah, so 2 comments on that. One, either fortunately or unfortunately, because of the nature of our business, people don't approach us and say, hey, I have this 200-unit multifamily apartment deal that's Class A, 98% occupied, and I need 50% debt on it. Could you help me? I would love for somebody to do that. And if there's somebody out there that needs that, please call me. Unfortunately, that's not the case. They call and they reach out because they can't, it's not a straight down the middle deal like the one I just described. It's much more difficult and challenging. And that's what we work on. That's the business I'm in, is helping, do we get easier deals once in a while from existing clients? Sure, we do. But for the most part, deals are more challenging. So yes, we get repositioning where there's a story, there's a lot of hair on the deal. Construction, where construction is getting harder, development is getting harder to do. I guess my comment to construction financing drying up, I don't believe that's the case. I think there's plenty of capital out there to do construction and development. But my caveat is that those lenders are looking at deals much more carefully than they were previously. So it's harder to get a deal done, but is there capital? Yeah, absolutely. Plenty of people looking to try to put capital out, even in the development space, ground up construction. but you have to meet a lot of requirements. The deal has to be good. The sponsor has to be strong with good experience. They have to have a balance sheet that they can guarantee it with. All of those kind of things have to sort of fall into place to make a successful construction deal. Often, one or two of those things is missing, and previously in years past you could still get it done. Now lenders are being much more strict with the parameters under which they will put out money for that kind of transaction. So Llenrock Capital Partners is our principal business. On purpose, we brand them separately so that we don't confuse the market, and we don't want anybody thinking that one company is going to poach from the other company. So if somebody brings us a principal deal, they don't want to think that we're shopping it. And if somebody brings us an advisory deal, they don't want to think that we might try to buy it from out from under them. We are very, very transparent with what we're doing, and we specifically talk to clients about what their intention is when they bring us a deal. Generally, we know it, but we like to be clear anyway. So Llenrock Capital Partners is our principal business where we develop or own and invest in commercial real estate in the greater Philadelphia area. It's usually within about a 3-hour drive of Center City, Philly. We sort of look at deals that are in the $5 to $100 million range. Probably between 30 and 50 is sort of our sweet spot. So that's our geography and the type of deals. We're really sort of value add opportunistic investors only. We are not cap rate buyers. We don't buy just for simply to buy and harvest cash flow, although we love cash flow. But there has to be a story to it. We have to be able to add value, or we have to be able to buy it at a discount. We're looking at generally very high teen or low to mid 20 type levered IRRs. We like consistent cash on cash returns. We can start at sort of a high single digit cash on cash, but we like our deals to sort of settle and average in the low double digits if possible, looking for equity multiples, greater than 2 if we can. Example of a company, we just purchased a 195 unit self-storage property about 20 minutes from Philadelphia. Although it was 95% occupied, a lot of the rents were under market and there was deferred maintenance. So there's a lot of room for value, and there's also additional development opportunity adjacent to the property. So we feel there's a lot of value there. It's a teeny little deal. Normally we wouldn't do it, but we're sort of dipping our toe into the self-storage waters and sort of seeing if we like it. We think we do, and if we do, we're going to try to do some more in that space. We also just, less than an hour ago, closed on a 40,000 square foot office building, value add, in the Philadelphia suburbs. That was an REO deal we're buying from a local mortgage REIT. About 82% occupied, but prior to closing, we've already leased the remaining 18% of the space. So we'll be fully occupied in the next 30 to 40 days when we have signed leases. But we've already identified tenants and are working through that process. So there's sort of value to be had there. Those are two very small deals. Normally we wouldn't go after those. They sort of fell in our lap, and we feel like it's sort of easy value add. So we're doing those. Type of deal we prefer to do is we are developing 155 multifamily units ground up at the Paoli train station, which is outside of Philadelphia on the main line. We're literally across the street from a train station that serves a dual role as a SEPTA station, which is our regional rail, and an Amtrak, which is the national rail. Stops right there, less than 100 yards from our site. So we like that transit-oriented aspect, and we're on the main road out the main line. So a lot of retail and other, office and other uses along that road. That's a larger deal where we partner with an LP partner. We have a large pension fund advisor who's our partner on that. So that's some of the kind of stuff we're doing and what we're looking for. Philadelphia and its environs, there's a lot going on. And compared to New York or Boston or San Francisco, it's generally seen as a secondary market, not a primary market. It's certainly sleepier than those areas, although we're pretty much on fire right now as it relates to commercial real estate. There's a lot going on. A lot of new apartments have been added to the Center City area. So there is a concern that we may be oversupplied in multifamily, particularly in Class A in the city. We'll see. I'm not 100% sure that's the case. I think it'll take a little while to digest all of that. Sort of like a large snake eats like an alligator. It takes, a few weeks for him to digest it. Same thing here. We just got a sort of a lump moving through the snake, and eventually I think it's going to go out, and we're going to be okay because we have a large influx of younger folks who are moving into the city. More of our universities are keeping people, so that's a net positive. The cost of living is, 60 or 70% of a New York or a Boston or a San Fran, so it's way easier to live there. So overall, it's a really good market. We love it, and we're continuing to. We also have a pretty good supply of hotel rooms. I don't think we need any more hotels. There's a new, I think, 800-room property going to be coming online at the end of next year. So we have probably enough supply in the hotel area. Retail is doing quite well. Office seems to be expanding. There's actually proposals for a couple of new office towers, which we have not had for many years in Philadelphia. So that's interesting. Rents have been rising. Net absorption is up, so that's all good as well. So overall, I think the Philadelphia market is good. We never sort of spike like a New York or a San Fran. We sort of go up slowly, and when we go down a little bit, and then we go up a little bit. It's never as exciting, but it's turning out to be quite a strong and interesting real estate market. And you also have to realize by Amtrak, we're about an hour and a half from New York on the regular Amtrak, an hour if you're on Acela, and we're about 2 hours from Washington, D.C. We're smack dab in the middle of them on the coast between two rivers, so there's lots of amenities, a lot of things going on. It's really easy to get to those two big cities. There's a lot to be said for the city. A little after I started my company, I'd been in Philly for a number of years. I did a few things with Cornell while I was with my previous company, but after I started my new one, I decided we ought to have the Cornell Real Estate Council in Philly and make it more active. So I started and ran it and did that for a number of years. I'm now the chairman, and we have a president and a whole board, a vice president, a secretary, and a treasurer, and all that kind of stuff. And they actually run the day-to-day of it now, which is good. It's been very helpful to have the Real Estate Council in Philly because it's raised the profile of Cornell, it's raised the profile of my company and of other Cornellians doing business in the city, and it's a great way to network. So it's been a fantastic job. I think that the Cornell Real Estate Council in general is comprised of alumni of Cornell University. It's the largest real estate-focused alumni association in the country. So it's great to be part of. A lot of really interesting folks who are in it. And I think that it's very, very valuable. From my perspective, the Cornell connection and connecting with other Cornell alums, especially in real estate, that's what I'm mostly focused on, although I like to talk to Cornell alums in sort of any space, is great because I feel like Cornell alumni are very rabid supporters of the university, very energetic and passionate about their experience here. To be honest, I went undergrad somewhere else and I went to grad school here. Normally, you are more passionate about where you went undergrad than you are about where you went to grad school. I don't know why I'm opposite, but maybe they put something in the water here in Ithaca, but I get very excited about Cornell. I support my undergrad institution as well. That's Connecticut College, by the way. Go Camels. But I'm more passionate about Cornell. I don't know why that is. I just really love the university and I think it's great and love connecting with folks. So any chance I get, I do. I'll give you the same piece of advice that I give everybody else, and nobody listens to it, but I'll give it to you anyway, which is that don't put your head down when you get a job. Most people get a job, they put their head down, they focus on their job, which is good. I'm not saying you shouldn't focus on your job. You should, but they stop connecting with people once they get a job. All they can think about is working, and they just work. They collect a paycheck, and they're happy with it. And then when they lose their job, or when it's time that they want to make a change, even though they haven't lost a job, then they call people and say, oh, can you help me get another job? Well, if people would spend some of their time just on a daily basis connecting with others and networking more regularly, they wouldn't have to look for a job because a job will find them. And so, as I told somebody else I was speaking to today, you should spend about, I think, 60%, 70% of your work week working hard, busting your butt, doing a great job wherever you're working. 20 to 30% of your time should be spent either if you have family or just in free time and relaxing and weekend and trying to blow off some steam, because you won't do anybody any good if all you do is work. You just become less and less effective. And about 10%, or 5 to 10% of your time, however you want to cut it up a little bit, constantly networking, constantly going out and meeting folks, connecting with people that you've interviewed with before, connecting with people at other real estate companies. Not that you're actively looking for a job, but just learning what people are doing out there. And I think if you do that on a regular basis and you make networking a part of your everyday life, that you'll be much more successful. It's also, everybody says it's all about relationships. It is all about relationships. So it'll also help you in your current job when you need data on another market, or you want to find a joint venture partner for something you're working on. The more people you know and the better you know them, those possibilities open up, and it helps you do your job better. So that's my advice.